So it was about a month later that I was working that midnight shift, and I came up with this idea, and I had a log line, and the log line was I'd been listening to a ton of true crime podcasts because again on midnights for a long time I listened to classic rock radio, and then I moved to sports talk radio, and after a while I moved over to podcasts.
That's how
And
I got into podcasting too. We got a lot of time to pass on overnights.
yep, and so I started listening to true crime podcasts. So I had a couple that I really really liked, and again this idea popped in my head. And it was basically like a true crime. It was like a true crime podcast idea. It was, what if you had grown up your entire life knowing knowing you were adopted, but at that time in your life when you wanted to find out what your who your real parents were and what your past was really like, you did one of those DNA tests and it came back, and it wasn't that your ancestors were serial killers. It was that your mother was the unknown victim of a cold case homicide. And what does that do? And so, like I said, it's 2:00 in the morning. It was I won't use the Q word, but it was rather uneventful. Like
Right.
even the radio was nothing was chirping, and I this idea popped in my head, and I was on a double actually. I had worked the whole sea line, and I had gone into the overnight, and I was doing the head bobs, and
Yep.
this idea popped in my head, and I'm sitting at my desk. I was supposed to be going through reports, and I was like, I need to write this down. So I got a blank piece of paper out, and I just, it was like the old days when I'm like, oh, I got this idea. Let me put it down. So I started writing it out, started working on it, started creating some of these characters. And while I was doing it, that's when I kind of get the inspiration that as interesting as that log line was, it was going to be more interesting if I put it from the perspective of a police officer.